Today on Softeller Tech Briefs, we're comparing staff augmentation and professional services, what each model is, the advantages and trade-offs, and how to decide which approach fits your project. Modern enterprises use a range of strategies to pursue growth, technology development, brand building, and expansion. Two common options for bringing in outside capacity are staff augmentation and professional services. On the surface, they look similar. Both help organizations outsource work, but they operate in quite different ways. Understanding those differences matters when you choose a staffing approach that keeps you competitive. Today we'll define both models, look at their pros and cons, compare them on flexibility, cost, and control, and cover the factors that help companies decide between them. What is staff augmentation? Staff augmentation is a workforce management strategy used when organizations need to fill urgent staffing gaps. This flexible, scalable model lets companies reshape internal teams and respond quickly to workload spikes or specific project needs without permanent hiring. It is especially useful when you need specialized developers quickly, for example, for React Native work. Providers are highly adaptable. They serve industries ranging from IT to healthcare, finance, telecommunications, and manufacturing. Engagements are typically short-term and center on recommending specialized talent, though they may also include physical resources such as office space or ongoing administrative support. IT favors augmentation over traditional hiring largely because of that adaptability. Providers are better positioned to handle rapid innovation cycles and fluctuating resource demand in infrastructure management and software development. Pros of staff augmentation: easy access to specialized skills. The model lets businesses tap a global talent pool for immediate needs. That access is one of its strongest advantages. For example, companies needing .NET developers can often onboard skilled people without long recruitment cycles. Augmented staff usually do not need full training before they start. They mainly need orientation to your development objectives. Flexibility and scalability. Staff augmentation is inherently flexible. Headcount can scale up or down based on project needs and workloads. Cost efficiency. For IT businesses, augmentation can be a cost-effective way to use resources. By limiting costs tied to permanent hires, training, benefits, and salaries, companies can pay for services when they need them. Speed to market. In competitive technology markets, fast delivery of software is a real asset. Augmentation supports that speed by supplying professionals who can integrate quickly into existing workflows and contribute early. Cons of staff augmentation. Integration challenges. Even when onboarding is designed to be fast, external talent may not always adapt easily to company culture and team dynamics. For skills such as C++ development, technical ability alone is not enough. People also need to collaborate smoothly with in-house teams. Weak alignment can lead to disengagement and affect morale and productivity. Variable quality. Depending on the provider, recommended staff may not all match in proficiency. Differences in skill level or working style can affect coherence and delivery quality. Management and collaboration issues. Running an external augmented team alongside in-house staff can add complexity, especially when people work remotely or offshore. Vendor dependency. Relying too heavily on a provider for critical skills can become a risk if the vendor cannot deliver the right talent on time. What are professional services? Professional services are an outsourcing model in which enterprises hand complex, long-term projects to external specialists who can execute them from start to finish. Providers take a holistic approach to project management, covering multiple aspects of the work with specialist teams. A defining trait is deep engagement from ideation through execution. These services are widely used in manufacturing, marketing, and consulting for strategic demands such as organizational restructuring, system integration, risk management, regulatory compliance, and business process transformation. Unlike staff augmentation, a professional services provider does not mainly supply temporary people to fill skill gaps. Instead, it assumes responsibility for managing and delivering the project from early stages through completion. Along the way, it typically handles administrative, legal, and operational duties, then hands over outcomes once objectives are met. Pros of professional services: Enhanced innovation and creativity. Professional services firms often work across industries, which brings perspectives that may not exist in-house. That cross-industry exposure can introduce fresh approaches to project challenges, high standards of quality and compliance. Providers usually maintain strong quality and compliance practices, aiming to meet industry standards and regulatory requirements. That can reduce quality assurance and compliance risk on complex work, since many firms operate under established guidelines and best practices in their domain. Comprehensive project execution. Providers manage projects carefully from conception to delivery. That level of project management can reduce the client's micromanagement load and free internal teams to focus on core operations. Operational efficiency. Outsourcing complex tasks to specialists can improve efficiency by streamlining work and reducing bottlenecks that appear when in-house teams are stretched too thin. Cons of professional services. Intellectual property concerns. Outsourcing innovation-heavy work can raise intellectual property risk. Protect ownership of products and processes by defining engagement terms clearly in a detailed service agreement. Reduced employee morale. When high-value projects are regularly handed to external providers, internal staff may feel undervalued or unsure about job security. That can hurt loyalty and productivity. Limited project control. Even when vendors can deliver with limited supervision, outsourcing full projects means giving up more direct control over direction. You rely heavily on the provider's track record and capabilities. Communication challenges. Because professional services often run as long-term, relatively independent engagements, keeping consistent contact with project progress can be difficult. Establish clear communication channels before work begins. Staff augmentation versus professional services. A comparative analysis. On the surface, both models provide external skills for a defined period. They differ significantly in cost, flexibility, and control. Flexibility. Staff augmentation helps companies handle temporary initiatives and short-term project demands. Providers keep talent ready so clients can onboard people quickly, and the client retains the ability to scale staff up or down as budget and project needs change. Professional services also add flexibility, but differently. Firms free internal capacity by taking projects in full. At the same time, more structured service contracts usually leave less room for resource adjustments midstream. Costs. Cost for either model depends on duration, complexity, and required expertise. Staff augmentation can reduce short-term expense by avoiding permanent hiring overhead, but costs can climb if a project runs longer than planned. Professional services often use fixed or retainer pricing, which can make budgeting more predictable, though typically with a larger upfront investment. Level of control. With staff augmentation, businesses can directly oversee integration and performance of external talent throughout the lifecycle. That supports quicker adaptation to culture and priorities. With professional services, expertise and project functions sit with the provider. That reduces day-to-day administrative burden for the client, but also distances them from day-to-day control of execution and outcomes. Factors to consider when choosing. Available internal resources. Can your organization manage and integrate external professionals effectively? If you have the capacity to oversee augmented staff, augmentation may fit well. If managing an external team would overextend internal managers, professional services may be the more practical choice. Control and collaboration preferences. Augmentation offers greater day-to-day control and closer collaboration between internal and external teams, which suits projects where you want strong oversight. Professional services require entrusting a substantial share of management and execution to the provider, useful when you want external expertise without owning daily operations. Project scope and complexity. Consider what the work involves: software development, infrastructure, cybersecurity, or broader transformation. Augmentation complements an existing workforce and fits dynamic projects that evolve over shorter horizons. Complex initiatives with a clearly defined scope and longer duration often benefit more from professional services. Budget considerations. Augmentation can be a cost-effective way to scale for short-term needs when permanent hiring is not practical. Professional services are typically more expensive because they include more than manpower, advice, strategic planning, and structured methodologies. That higher cost can still pay off over time when the broader value and reduced risk matter more than hourly rates. Closing takeaway: staff augmentation and professional services both bring outside expertise, but they solve different problems. Choose augmentation when you need flexible, controlled capacity to fill skill gaps and keep ownership close. Choose professional services when you need end-to-end ownership of complex work and are willing to trade some control for specialist delivery. Matching the model to your resources, oversight needs, project complexity, and budget is what makes the difference. If you'd like to learn more about software development, AI, cloud, data engineering, and digital transformation, visit us at softeller.com.